Hello, YouTube! Welcome in, welcome in. We're hanging out with some more of the Remembrance today, and we're checking out Fulgrim. The Phoenician? The phony. No, I doubt he's the phony, but I don't know what that word is. Anyone try to figure out how to tell me how to say that word? I have no fucking clue. Anyway, let's just get into it. I don't know anything about Fulgrim. He's purple. There we go. Let's go.
A warrior is measured by the quality of the foes he defeats. For years we have blunted our blades against lesser species and backwards primitives. But now this war, this glorious cataclysm, it presents us a chance to display for all eternity our perfection in the arena of war against the most formidable foe we shall ever face.
Right. Fulgrim's the perfectionist. Right. Okay, I remember now. That is a very dangerous thought process to have, especially when you're like a soldier or like just in general. Like, for instance, you can put this towards like your coworkers. I used to work at a mill, right? You guys have heard me say that in other videos, but I used to work at a mill. And one of the biggest and most important things you need to do whenever you're working in a mill is be safe. If you're not safe, you're dead. However, when everything is safe, when everything is working well, when everything is going good, which is honestly like good 80 to 90% of the time, it tends to create a situation where nothing's happening. It is one of the most lax and boring jobs you could possibly have working in a mill. And depending on where you are, of course, but even then, like most places, you're not doing anything. You're just kind of like sitting there waiting for the clock to go by. Just making sure everything is going right. And I've had so many people want to quit that job that pays like 2 to 3 to 4 times more than any other job in the area, only because it's boring. It's like, I fully understand it's boring. However, boring means you're alive, and also, this boring job is paying you a livable, usable wage. So, like, is there really a big problem with that? So, in this situation, Fulgrim's this little sentence is basically saying, if I'm not fighting the biggest, the strongest, the baddest, and the meanest of everything and winning, that is not proving how good of a warrior I am. Thus, I need to keep fighting bigger, better, and stronger, or else what use am I? How would everybody know that I am a perfect warrior, right? As a dangerous thought process.
Our brother legionaries.
And that's what happens.
We humbly thank him, our dear father, whose name we carry.
Yeah.
The primarchs of his imperium were each crafted to exemplify the emperor's, and by extension, humanity's greatest virtues and traits. Statesmen, generals, and orators, these individuals would unite the disparate fragments of humanity by using their unique, godlike power. Yet many of the primarchs would fall from grace, with few more unfortunate than that of one of the most promising of his children. The Primarch of the Third Legion.
Yes,
Fulgrim. With the scattering of the Primarchs prior to the dawn of the Great Crusade, the gestation pod of the Primarch of the Third Legion would land on the mining world of Chemos. A bleak and pitiless world surrounded by a nebula of thick dust and soot. Chemos would be a harsh taskmaster of its people.
Go figure that the person that craves perfection and craves everything, and the one that I was talking about going into this, go figure he also falls onto a planet that is basically a giant mill. A giant planetary mill. That's funny.
Settled during the dark age of technology, the planet would be isolated by warp storms from the wider civilizations across the stars. Illuminated in perpetual twilight, Chemos' citizenry would labor day and night without pause to create enough resources for their survival.
Oh damn.
Thick with harmful vapors, the fortress factories of the world would demand ceaseless toil from its people, should they all wish to prevent a global starvation. With trade...
Ooh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. There's constant warp storms going on. The entire place is just covered top to bottom in dust and soot. There's no sunlight, no nothing. Nothing could potentially grow here. This is completely inhospitable, so they're pretty much having to work 100% around the clock just to, like, synthesize and create what they possibly can for their citizens to live another day. And there's no end. It's just a perpetual machine of just suffering. Damn, that's rough.
Almost impossible between neighboring planets, the Chemosians would accept their dour fate of doomed rationing and endless hard labor. Yet with the arrival of the Primarch to the planet, a renewal of its fortunes would commence. Discovering the beautiful child, the policing force known as the Caretakers would beg Chemos' leaders of Calyx, the Executives, to spare the child's life. Orphans of Chemos were routinely culled to prevent further strain on the planet's dwindling resources.
Oh jeez.
Yet fortunately, for the young Primarch, the Executives would allow a member of the Caretakers to raise the child, naming the boy Fulgrim after the Chemosian legend.
So they're also culling the young? Meaning that, like, Jesus, so not only are the adults suffering from, growing older, they're suffering from hunger, they're suffering from overpopulation probably. Well, probably not so much of an overpopulation situation, but they're just suffering from a shortage of just, like, every human requirement to survive. In order to keep from further suffering, they end up having to remove the next generation as much as possible, while also accepting, the frequent potential deaths and age outs of people. Damn, that's... jeez. And who's to say what's going to happen to you if you get to a specific age? Like, as soon as you hit 70, it's like, your body is no longer working for you, you're no longer able to work, you're now a drain on the resources. That's not great.
It would not be long before the young Primarch would be tasked to labor within the mines of his new homeworld.
Is anybody else getting a flashback to Zoolander when Zoolander was working in the mines but pretending he was at a runway event? Is that Fulgrim in the mines?
Maturing quickly, Fulgrim would be sent to work within the labor mines of the planet. Quickly understanding the faltering and obsolete equipment of the factory, Fulgrim would modify and improve upon their designs. Dramatically increasing the machine's yield, it would not take long for the executives of the factory to take notice of the genius child diligently improving the lot of his people. For 15 years, Fulgrim would tinker with the machinery and be promoted to the rank of an executive of the fortress factory of Calyx. Observing the plight of the factory workers in a new light, Fulgrim would train and organize engineers to travel with him to each neighboring factory. Under his guidance, the engineers would repair and improve the factory's machinery. Salvaging long-dormant artifacts from the Age of Strife, the mining production of the planet would exponentially improve.
This is something that also never friggin' happens in, like, mill situations or just jobs, period. It's like, it seems like higher-ups hate the idea of improving the equipment. They're always like, there's not enough money in the budget at the moment in order to improve this item. Well, it's literally costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars probably because it's not doing its job properly. We're throwing things into it and it's just getting more and more broken. We're killing our funds just repairing this damn thing. Replace it with something that's going to actually last and do the job better. And they're just like, no, it's not in the budget. We're just going to fix it again. That's an easier band-aid.
Allowing for free time to construct new machines to further improve efficiency to the factories, Fulgrim would overhaul the entire planet's infrastructure and living standards. Creating surpluses and reducing pollution, Chemos' trade routes would begin to burgeon, and within a few years, Fulgrim had ascended to become the ruler of the planet.
Hell yeah.
The only Primarch to rule his homeworld with peaceful means, Fulgrim would prove to be a...
I like how he had to put in with peaceful means. I literally got onto this planet, was raised for a few years until I was of the tender working age of 4. Got to work in the mines, and then was like, I don't think I like the idea of how useless this stuff is. I'm just going to fix it. And then proceed to rise up the ranks by fixing everything, by making the life better, cleaning up the air quality, and then finally just everyone's like, you know what? No, you're in charge. You're upper management now. You're like the CEO. You're the CEO of the planet now. Congratulations. Okay, thank you.
compassionate, kind, and dependable boon to the people of Chemos. Yet with the arrival of the Emperor of Mankind to the planet, Fulgrim would resign his mantle of rulership. Falling to his knees once in audience of the Master of Mankind, Fulgrim would pledge himself and his homeworld in service to the Imperium. Swearing to serve the needs of his Imperium with all his heart, Fulgrim would accompany his father to Holy Terror. Learning of the slow decline of the Third Legion in his absence, Fulgrim would address his remaining 200 Astartes. So inspiring was his speech, the Emperor would give the title of Emperor's Children to the Third Legion, and gift them the right to bear his own Imperial Aquila on their armor.
So, the Third Legion was in huge decline because Fulgrim was missing? I thought they would all have his gene seed, so they would all be, like, perfectionists and, like, go-getters and, just the types of people that you would expect that would go out and actually, like, be proactive in their workspace. How would they all be declining? Is it just because, you know what? That's the reason why. So, one thing I've noticed about people who are, like, proactive and, like, go-getters, and they will do their job to not just 100%, not just 110%. They don't give just that. They cannot sleep unless they're giving, like, 500% of their life to that job. One thing I've noticed about those people, those types of people, and I've known a lot over my years, those types of people do not work well with others. And not in, like, a bad way. It's not like they get into fights or anything like that. It's just they don't ask for help. They don't work with people. And because of that, they are actually stunting their 500% improvement rating, and they're doing everything they can, but not everything that the group can do. So maybe because they're all kind of, like, unequal to each other, they're all doing their own damn thing. They're all trying to be perfectionists in that regard. But having Fulgrim show up gives them kind of like a person that is mentally of their caliber, but they would instantly respect, because not only is he mentally of their caliber, he's done everything they want to do, and he can guide them to be that person that they really want to be. A pure perfectionist and be absolutely perfect at their job. So maybe that's the reason why? That's the only thing I can think of on why the Third Legion would be declining so fast.
Wearing the double-headed eagle with pride, the Emperor's children, under the command of Fulgrim, would venture forth to prove their worth in the eyes of the Imperium. Burdened with the responsibility to prove themselves worthy of the Emperor's favor, Fulgrim and his legion would strive to become paragons of humanity. Seeking perfection in not only battle, but also culture, the Emperor's children would champion artistry and aesthetic splendor in their dealings as a legion. Embodying the traits of beauty, poise, and elegance, Fulgrim would demand a high standard of regal bearing within his legion. Strengthening their resolve and bolstering their dwindling numbers, the Emperor's children would serve as aristocratic negotiators and public embodiments of the Imperium's will. Mentored closely by the Primarch of the Lunar Wolves, Horus Lupercal, the Emperor's foremost senior general would teach Fulgrim and his slowly rebuilding legion on the arts of war. With his teachings complete, and the Third Legion now at fighting strength, Fulgrim would anxiously embark to bring glory to his Emperor's children.
Look at this Genshin Impact looking motherfucker. Once again, freaking Warhammer art just being cuts above the rest. My goodness.
Forming an unlikely, yet cherished friendship with the Primarch of the 10th Legion, Ferrus Manus, during the Great Crusade, the Emperor's most starkly contrasting brothers would work together on many campaigns to bring compliance to the galaxy. Both masters of craftsmanship, alchemy, and scientific genius, the Primarchs would further strengthen their bond with a contest of skill. Crafting weapons fit for a god of war, the Phoenician and his affectionately named Gorgon would create weapons of legendary splendor. Ferrus Manus would craft the sword known as Fireblade, wreathed in flame, alike to the Emperor's own personal weapon, whilst Fulgrim would construct Forgebreaker, a warhammer capable of sundering mountains in hands strong enough to wield it.
So Ferrus made Fulgrim's weapon, and Fulgrim made Ferrus's weapon. That's cool. Like, that is like the perfect semblance of like brotherhood in kind of like this war situation. Like, you can tell these two respected each other for making each other their signature weapon. That's cool. I like that.
Deferring each other as the winner of the contest, as a sign of respect, the two Primarchs would gift one another their mastercrafted weapons. Carrying them into battle, legends would be sung of the two like-minded brothers charging into battle with their weapons aloft and legions at their vanguard. Yet unfortunately, such a bond would be tested and fractured with the betrayal of the Imperium by the Primarch of the 16th Legion, Horus Lupercal.
Also, wasn't Ferrus one of the ones that didn't fall? I thought he's one of the ones that didn't fall, right? So, okay. Man, this is I'm loving this guy quite a bit. Like, this is an interesting story. He has quite the tragic tale going on here. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Lion. He was interesting. He was total Giga Chad and all that. Like, but because he was so like bestial and like almost robotic in that sense, because he's a wild animal pretending to be a politician, essentially. He didn't have that human feel to him, whereas Fulgrim, like, straight up lived the same life as any other, like, just everyday worker growing up. And he just climbed the ranks all the way to the top, and he is just a type of person that is just striving for his own perfection. Like, he is following his own greed, his own ambitions. And unfortunately, he just follows them a little bit too far, which is such a common thing for so many people. Look at literally every fucking streamer. Streamers get such a high ambition and so much greed for themselves. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. You need greed in order to actually, like, survive in the world, quite honestly. But if you get too much, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's when you start to, fall to chaos, because, you want perfection. Perfection doesn't happen. It can't ever happen. The more perfection you fight for, the further away you get, because, like, you're not being perfect anymore. You're being, what's the word? Hungry.
As the War Master of the Imperium began his slow descent into the thrall of chaos, Fulgrim would begin his own corrupting pilgrimage. Leading the 28th Expeditionary Fleet during the conquest of the Laeran species, Fulgrim would begin to be enticed by the influence of the ruinous powers. Known to the Imperium as the planet 28-3, the Laer Xenos would guard the resource-rich planet from Imperial advances.
That's a cool creature. This is like Bug meets Angel meets Samus Aran. I like this character.
Dispatching his Astartes, Fulgrim would descend upon the planet and begin the slow month-long extermination of the serpentine Laeran Xenos. Discovering a strange temple within the coral nexus of the ocean planet, Fulgrim would investigate the structure. Unknowingly, stepping into a temple devoted to the chaos entity known as Slaanesh, Fulgrim would find within the heart of the temple a peculiar artifact. The demon blade, known as the Blade of the Laer, would call to Fulgrim. Whispering subtle treacheries into Fulgrim's very soul, the Primarch of the Emperor's children would claim the blade as his own. Relegating Fireblade, his most prized symbol of his most cherished brother, and favouring the Laer blade in battle, the influence of the greater demon within the...
That's a little rough. I'd be happy if I was in Fulgrim's shoes. I'd be like, oh, it's fine. I only made that blade specially for you, and I still treasure the hammer you made me. But that is a really cool enchanted blade. I'm not gonna lie. I get it. It's fine. He hates it. He hates the sword I made for him. I thought he liked it. What the hell, man?
Sword would grow exponentially. Wrongly interpreting the intrusive thoughts of the demon as his own subconscious, Fulgrim's descent into madness would be assured.
Look at that smug-ass son of a bitch.
With Horus Lupercal's corruption by the ruinous powers complete, the War Master of Chaos would call to his likewise damned brother to join his betrayal of the Imperium. Heeding the call of his brother and once mentor, Fulgrim would begin his ever-worsening descent into madness with the persecution of the Diasporex. The Iron Hands, led by their Primarch Ferrus Manus, would be tasked with achieving compliance with the human elements of the Xenos-Human coalition known as the Diasporex. With the Diasporex declining the invitation to join the Imperium, the Iron Tenth would begin their purge of the civilization. Competent in naval warfare, the Diasporex would prove a difficult foe to destroy.
I like how you use naval warfare for, like, fighting in space and all that, because, like, you're not at sea. Naval's a sea thing, but because they are using basically warships and the fighting works out to be basically like a naval battle, just with a third dimension to it, you might as well just use a naval as the idea for it. Makes sense.
Calling to his most stalwart allies, Ferrus would petition aid from Fulgrim and the Third Legion to add their blades to the fight. Together, the Iron Hands and Emperor's children would crush the Diasporex, but not without Fulgrim's ego being damaged due to his own reckless actions. The malevolent influence of the Laer blade would feed Fulgrim's resentment of his brother's selfless and heroic actions to aid his forces. With the Diasporex slain, Fulgrim would travel to the ancient Eldar craftworld of Ulthwé and be confronted by the Asavani Farseer, Eldrad Uthrain. Warning Fulgrim of the War Master's impending betrayal, Fulgrim would, with the influence of the Laer blade, unleash his outrage at the Eldar's accusations of his cherished brother. With the aid of his Phoenix Guard, Fulgrim would slaughter Eldrad's Eldar retinue and cause the Farseer to retreat. Ordering his fleet to virus bomb several Eldari worlds, Fulgrim's rage would not be sated. Seeking answers from Horus in person, Fulgrim would, despite his objections to Eldrad's assertions, succumb to the charisma and charm of the War Master and join in his plot for rebellion. His respect for his second closest brother, enough to turn his back on the Emperor. Promised true perfection should he submit to the powers of chaos, Fulgrim would meet once more with his most adored brother, Ferrus Manus, in an attempt to sway the Iron Tenth to join the traitor cause.
Come, brother. We're going to go and beat our dad's ass in because he's being a big meanie head and not giving us all the things we want. We can't achieve perfection under him. Blah, 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 blah. Come on. We can do this. I will get you a fancier hammer, just like this cool sword I found. That's so much better than the sword you made me. Yay! Our hand's just like, no.
Upon the world of Kalanides IV, the Iron Hands wrested control of the planet from the Orc menace. Meeting with Ferrus Manus, Fulgrim would naively declare his allegiance to the plot to destroy the Imperium. Enraged, the stalwart hero of humanity, Ferrus Manus would attack Fulgrim.
You what? Just like, oh yeah, so I'm actually going to hang out with my with Brother Horus a little bit more. I actually really like where he's going with things. I honestly, this whole chaos thing sounds like it would be pretty good. And honestly, Dad's being a little bit of a prick. Did you hear all the things he's been saying about everybody? Did you see what he did to Agron and his people? Like, God, he's being so rude. If I was in charge, I would have made things way better for everybody. Everything would have been so much more perfect. It's like, and Ferris just like, you do know that Horus is getting influenced by chaos. What are you doing? Stop it.
His duty to the Imperium and loyalty to the Emperor as unshakable as iron, Ferris would destroy his once bond of kinship, Fireblade, from Fulgrim's grasp with his own hands.
Oh.
With the sword's destruction.
So wait, one more time?
The Emperor as unshakable as iron, Ferris would destroy his once bond of kinship, Fireblade, from Fulgrim's grasp with his own hands.
So as a show that, no, this is too far, you are no longer my brother, he destroyed the blade he gave Fulgrim while Fulgrim was using it in their fight. That's... damn.
With the sword's destruction, Ferris would be incapacitated with Fulgrim taking his own craft, Forgebreaker, in his hands. Unable to slay his brother, Fulgrim would settle for slaughtering the Gorgon's Morlock honor guard. The Emperor's children would submit to the thrall of the being known as Slaanesh, and with their mutated bodies and souls, reinforce the War Master's staging ground of the Istvan system. With Horus's betrayal laid bare for all...
Okay, nope, I don't like the Imperium anymore, everybody. Everyone get the bondage here, let's go!
to see, the Emperor would dispatch his remaining loyal sons to bring the traitors to justice. Spoiling for revenge, Ferrus Manus would lead the charge to Istvan V. Alongside the Salamanders and Raven Guard legions, the Loyalists would face the traitors in battle. Against the World Eaters, Death Guard, Sons of Horus, and their own most hated foe, the Emperor's children, the Iron Hands would seek to destroy the Phoenician and his ilk. Yet as the second wave of reinforcements to the battle arrived, the legion sent to purge the traitors to the throne would instead join them.
This set here, these guys are so extra. This guy is so much more extra. We got the skull on the face mask. We got the little bat wings up here. We got the lightning painted all over the armor. We got a whole bunch of like helmets on his back. Like this guy's gotten a little extra. That's a little much.
The Iron Warriors, Night Lords, Word Bearers, and Alpha Legion would turn on the Loyalists and outnumber their forces with overwhelming firepower. Ferrus Manus, betrayed once more, would face his beloved brother, Fulgrim, in battle. Armed with the reforged Fireblade, Ferrus Manus would make a desperate final act to avenge his honor guard, lost friendship, and the memory of his once virtuous brother. Upon the Urgal depression, Fulgrim and Ferrus would clash, yet armed with the demonically imbued demon blade, Fulgrim would cleave Ferrus's head from his body with a slice of the Laer blade. As if awakening from a deep slumber, Fulgrim would look upon his slain brother and grieve at his heinous actions. Stricken with grief, Fulgrim would submit to the whispers of the Laer blade, which promised to absolve him from his sorrows.
Well, there you go. How perfect is that? You were so perfect. You killed your brother. Damn, that's like... yeah, that's... see, when you strive... okay. Human ambition is basically the 7 deadly sins. You have to have the 7 deadly sins in order to want to progress. In order to climb your way straight to the top. You have to be greedy. You have to be hungry. You have to be prideful. You have to be jealous and all that. You need them. You need them. However, too much will cause you to start being envious and hateful. Too much hunger will start to make you fat and lazy. Too much lust will like dull your senses and make you like desensitized to any kind of feeling of accomplishment. Too much pride and nothing's good enough. Like, these are things that are so important to remember. You need to be at least a little bit, but too much is too much, not enough, and you're basically just a slug on the ground. Fulgrim was perfection. He was pride incarnate. He grew, he kept on going. He had everything at his fingertips, but he wanted so much more. He wanted to be more perfect because, once again, once you get to a certain point, you're never going to be perfect enough. And then finally, at the end of it, he commits an act he can never take back. And at that point, it's like, well, I got nothing left. So it's easy for, some alternate entity to whisper in your ear, you got nothing left to lose, kid. You might as well just keep pushing.
Freed from its prison, the greater demon would possess Fulgrim's body and imprison the Phoenician's soul. Now replaced by the demon of the Laer blade, Fulgrim would exponentially hasten the corruption of the Emperor's children. Revealing itself to the War Master, Horus and the demon would reach an understanding that it shall remain in control of the Phoenician's body should it continue to aid the traitor war effort. Gifting the severed head of the first Primarch to fall during the heresy, Ferrus Manus, the demonically possessed Fulgrim would join the remaining 7 Primarchs of the traitor cause at the conclave above Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit.
Wait. So, because they killed Fulgrim, they possessed his body? And oh my god, that's horrifying. That's horrible. So both brothers ended up falling to chaos, but mostly through demonic possession and stupidity of one of them. That's rough.
Lorgar Aurelian, Primarch of the Wordbearers Legion, would observe the presence within Fulgrim and attempt to exorcise it from the Phoenician's body. Failing to dominate the being, Lorgar would weaken the demon's hold on its prey, yet withdraw from the conclave, unsuccessful in his attempt to free his brother. Upon the Emperor's Children flagship, Pride of the Emperor, the senior members of the 3rd Legion would continue efforts to exorcise their Primarch. Under the supervision of the Chief Apothecary, Fabius Bile, Captains Lucius, Julius Caesaron, and Marius Virosian would begin their ministrations. Freeing their Gene Father from the demon's clutches, Fulgrim would reveal himself to be biding his time and understanding the creature from within. Spurred to take the demon unawares, Fulgrim would dominate the entity and resume control of his body. Now armed with an intimate understanding of the foul inner workings of demonology, Fulgrim would petition aid from the 4th Legion Primarch, Perturabo, to accompany him on a journey to explore his newfound understanding. A journey to the Crone World of Idris. Alongside the Iron Warriors, the Emperor's children would venture into the heart of the Eye of Terror. Promising the Lord of Iron a wondrous power of immense value within the Ocularis Terribus, Fulgrim would not divulge the true intention behind their voyage. Despite enduring an ambush perpetrated by the shattered Legion Astartes of the vessel, Sisypheum, the Primarchs would continue their traversal to the Crone World. Upon the world of Idris, Fulgrim would discover the tomb of the so-called Angel Exterminatus within the sepulchre of Isha's doom.
Sorry, I might be a little quiet here. There's just a lot of interesting words, and there's a lot of, alternate lore pieces that are a little difficult to fully grasp. So, after everything, Fulgrim's children ended up, trying to exorcise him, only to find out, he was actually just kind of biding his time, and then he actually exorcised the demon himself. So he pulled himself out of corruption, then grabbed this fella here, what was his name? I just need to see the name, and I'll remember it. Or not. Oh no! Yeah, Perturabo. He just he brought Perturabo to this, Not Eldar. This Necron world? This looks like a Necron world, I'm gathering. Yeah. Let me back up. Just be safe.
By the shattered Legion Astartes of the vessel, Sisypheum, the primarchs would continue their traversal to the Crone world. Upon the world of Idris, Fulgrim would discover the tomb of the so-called Angel Exterminatus within the sepulchre of Isha's doom. The distilled essence of the countless perished souls rent from the birth of She Who Firsts, the orb of jade light would shine ablaze alike to a miniature sun. Draining strength from his brother, Perturabo, Fulgrim would harvest the power of the Hollow World and the Lord of Iron to achieve his apotheosis.
Oh! So, he ended up devouring Perturabo's soul and a bunch of souls from the Eldari that were vanquished upon Slaanesha's birth in order to turn into this.
Reborn as a demon prince of Slaanesh, Fulgrim's skin would mutate into a four-armed, serpentine creature. Departing from the planet with his Emperor's children, Fulgrim's ascension would be bought at the cost of the ever-dwindling loyalty of his brothers. Further influencing his legion to become ever more debased and mutated, Fulgrim would wage war for the remainder of the Horus Heresy as a distracted, stimuli-obsessed monster. For even during the final battle of the war, the Siege of Terror.
That's horrifying. I hate that. I hate the looks of that. All the faces he's got pinned to his armor too. Oh my god.
Fulgrim and his legion would busy themselves not with direction, discipline or focus, but with the torture and mutilation of the civilian populace. The traitor war effort would fail, in part due to the Third Legion's wanton indulgencies, and force Fulgrim and the Emperor's children to retreat into the Eye of Terror. Abusing and depleting their captured slaves, the Emperor's children would seek new prey to enact their perversions.
Oh no.
Fulgrim would lead his fragmented and wayward sons to ever more heretical pursuits of indulgences. The traitors would turn on one another, as all duplicitous betrayers unbound from honor and discipline are wont to do. With the Legion Wars incurring a heavy toll on every traitor legion, the Emperor's children would not be spared such losses. Devolving into small war bands, Fulgrim's lack of leadership or grand objective would divide his once proud legion. Though whilst the Third...
And once again, when the person that you've respected all this time falls to, just kind of throws everything out the window and gives up on this perfection, only to just, hunt for more and more, just anything to make him feel something. Because, once you get to a certain point, you know that there's no other way there's no other way to go up, right? There is no upwards from here, but you want to keep going upwards. So you're searching for that high. That's why a lot of celebrities who have made their millions, who are basically a household name, there's so many of them that still want so much more. They want more money, they want more power, they want more influence. So they will either turn to politics, they will turn to just making sure that they're in every single movie they can possibly find. They will turn to social media and start trying to tell people, hey, these are my opinions, you should have these opinions too. All these sorts of things. And then there's others that are just I'm going to party now. There's no fallback. I'm set for life. I'm eternally wealthy. I am eternally loved. I can do whatever the hell I want. And then they just party and party. Then they start hitting, high spikes, and they're just hunting for that next high over and over. Meanwhile, all your followers, all those people that respected you all the way up until this point, see you turning into this mound of perversion, and just you're no longer the person they cared about. However, they put so much time into you that they're now having to kind of defend you, but then half of them will splinter off and start doing their own thing. And remember, all of his followers have his gene seed of perfection. They want to give 500% to everything. So now they're splintering off. They're like, well, the guy that we've all bannered under, who was like the best of us, has fallen to such a terrible state. I guess now we're all in charge again. So they start splintering off and finding other people that they can follow, and it just becomes an absolute mess. And it's all because, once again, he got too greedy. He got too ambitious. He wanted too much.
Legion may be divided and without direction. The demon Primarch's influence still brings ruination to the galaxy. Confronted by the Primarch of the Ultramarines, Rabute Guilliman, during the scouring of the traitors, following their failed coup, Fulgrim would prove to be a dangerous foe. During 121.M31, the 13th Legion would seek retribution from the Emperor's children at the Battle of Fassala. Dueling the Ultramarines Primarch in single combat, Fulgrim would prove to be a deadly opponent, and with his chaos-infused form, slice the throat of Rabute Guilliman with a poison-infused blade. Damning Guilliman to a 10,000-year stasis-fueled slumber within the Crag's Temple of Correction. The Phoenicians' actions would deal the Imperium a fatal blow, which would be felt for millennia. And with the return of the Avenging Sun during 999.M41, Rabute Guilliman's resurgent wrath demands vengeance against the Phoenician. And despite his long seclusion within the Eye of Terror, rumor persists that the chosen demon Primarch of Slaanesh once more unites his legion for war. His never-ending quest for his debased pleasures once more unleashed upon the galaxy.
Yep. It's just, Fulgrim, this is a very interesting story, and it's probably, well, I've only seen 2 of these Primarchs, but this is like a very human story. Someone who crawled his way up from the gutters, went all the way up to the top. He had every single ounce of luck and ambition to put him in the right spot at the right time in order to get the right boosts to get him all the way up to the top. Only for him to then turn around and want more and more and more. He threw away friendship, brotherhood, family, everything, so that he could be bigger, stronger, better. And at the end of the day, he became the very thing that he hated. Just a giant monster with no ambition anymore and no form of growth or understanding, which is just honestly something that so many humans just kind of go through. We keep fighting for too much, and the more we fight for too much, the more we take, and the less there is to give for everything else. Is pretty sad.
That which causes us trials shall yield us triumph. That which makes our hearts ache shall fill us with gladness. For the only true happiness is to learn, to advance and improve. None of this could happen without rejecting error, ignorance, and imperfection. We must pass out of the darkness to reach the light.
The attainment of perfection. Yeah, that's 100% true. What was it? And that makes our hearts ache shall fill us with gladness. For the only true happiness is to learn, to advance, and improve. If you are stagnant constantly, if you are not learning, if you are not improving, if you don't have anything to strive for, you are an empty shell. You don't have anything. None of this could happen without rejection, error, ignorance, and imperfection. If you don't try, you will not succeed. If you do not try, you will not fail. If you try, you can succeed. If you try, you will fail. But you will only fail so many times before you start succeeding. And you will get better and better and better. Iron out the kinks. Get stronger. Get more. We must pass out of the darkness to reach the light. As you keep on fighting for that ambition, you will iron out the kinks. You will iron out the issues. You will become stronger. You'll become better. And you will finally be a master of your craft. And as long as you're okay to just keep on reaching those higher heights and keep on reaching to that better goal without, pushing everything down and just kind of staying on that path of actual, like, ambition, you'll do fine. It's once you start wanting more outside of that and expecting attention for it, that's when it starts to get a little bit problematic.
Out of the darkness to reach the light. This has been a tale of the great Imperium of Man, read by the Remembrancer. Fulgrim's descent into the clutches of the ruinous powers would be swift in the eyes of the Imperium, his ego in pursuit of perfection hastening his spiral into madness. Yet in my next transmission for Primarch, we shall elucidate the tale of another Primarch brought low by his ego and ambition.
Yep. And I believe that is... Let's see here. Oh, that will be Perturabo, who ended up, getting eaten by Fulgrim. Interesting. Anyway, this has been a very good video. Once again, such a good story. So human. Very human. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out the Remembrancer. Like, that was a fantastic video. Fulgrim's a very interesting character. And I'm interested to see what happens with Perturabo next. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Yeah. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Hey, did you enjoy that? Was it funny? Well, come and check it out live over at twitch.tv/freeform_art. Make sure you put the _art. We have lots of fun there. We enjoy ourselves, and we want to see you over there. So come on and hang out. See you in a bit.